Welcome back. It's great to have you here today. I thought that I would like to show you my yard. I know that's random, except for that if you have been following the channel, you know that when we moved into the house, I redid our front yard a year ago, full landscape, taking out a lot of the lawn. And it's a year this month, and I thought I would show you how it's filled in a bit, some areas that have done well, and some areas that I just love, and some things that have been a little more challenging and what I've learned a year later. So let me walk you around and show you my yard. We had to take down that big, beautiful oak tree, and so, but I love the stump and didn't want to dig out that stump. I didn't want to dig out that stump in that big gravel area. Well, it's not gravel, it's river rock. Didn't want to dig that out and cause a big mess, and all of the wood chips mixed into that rock would just be a pain to clean out. And so we did keep part of that stump, if you recall, the trunk of the tree right here on the corner facing out to the street, and on the other side we've got a metal designed address, but I'm not going to show that because I'm not broadcasting my address on the internet. But in any case, we created this little flower bed area in front of that address, and I've just been surprised at some of the native flowers that bloom for weeks and weeks and weeks, if not months. I planted those black-eyed Susans early in the spring, and at first they seemed to struggle, but they finally have taken off and they've been blooming, and it's just been wonderful. We have a few harvests, some metal pumpkins out there that aren't there year-round. But this area has been a little challenging because I don't have a sprinkler system, and we didn't get as much rain this summer as they normally do. So some things have struggled, but that's why you want to plant natives, and I have a number of plants that aren't native, and I had somebody come out and help me to rethink a few of my choices, and so I'm going to be acting on that over time. This is a long journey, but otherwise I'm just thrilled with the way the yard came out. This bush here, blue Nanho, Nho, I think is what it is. I love this plant. Right now here in October, oh, you can even see the butterfly coming up to it. The butterflies love this plant. These purple blooms, they started blooming in the spring with blossoms. I'll show you a picture here that were easily 8 to 10 inches long. And but then as here we are through the summer and into the fall, they're much shorter length, but constant bloom for the butterflies, and I love it. But the butterflies can't host here, so there isn't anything to help have them grow and keep flourishing. But I definitely wanted to at least offer them some food in the environment, and so one of my favorite, it's right off the front door, the front window. Lots of activity and beauty. It's just gorgeous. Gotta have that showpiece in your yard. Of course, some Japanese maples, 2 different varieties. They're also not native, but in suburbia, they're beautiful in a yard. So I'm not being totally strict to native plants, but want to lean that way because so much of our environment, natural environment, is being removed for homes and streets and neighborhoods. I want to make sure that the birds and insects that are good have places still to live and thrive. And of course, without a sprinkler system, native plants survive better, and so that's always a good goal as well. I've pulled back out to show you a bigger view at one time. I love this. I just kept a little bit of lawn right in this area so that, because I'm just on a neighborhood, a suburban neighborhood, and to go fully natural when everybody else has lawns, I didn't want to be so out of place. I took out the lawn at this corner of the driveway where the utilities were and put in some natural seagrasses or I don't think they're seagrasses, but natural grasses to the area, and kept some lawn along the side of the house so that I blended with the neighbor, and kept lawn on the other side of the rock bed area that blends then into that neighbor's lawn. But I extended, when I moved in, there was rock all the way around these trees already, and I just extended it out to the street, and then planted a lot of natural grasses, and put in a lot of the pine straw. I'm not a fan of the pine straw, but that's what's done here. It's a little pricey, and it doesn't keep nice looking as long as I wish it did. But otherwise, you know, I'm happy with it, with the way the yard looks. And love this tree. When this was in bloom in the spring into the summer, it was just gorgeous. And then, of course, planted this little, it will be eventually good size, this magnolia tree. It's called a saucer magnolia. And so it has these beautiful magenta and white flowers. There's a traditional magnolia back there. I'll go up a little closer. And it's just been gorgeous. Right now, these pink Muhly grasses are in, I don't know if you call them bloom, but they're putting out their beautiful flags and the way they blow in the wind. It's just gorgeous. And then, of course, in the spring, these put out their white ones. And so with all the breezes between that, it animates the yard so beautifully next to these static miniature palmetto, shrub palmetto type things. It's just really beautiful to me. This area, I planted these hydrangeas, and I think that this gets too much sun, is too harsh for them. They don't seem to be taking off quite as well. I planted some hydrangeas back there where they get some less full sun, and they seem to be doing a little better. I planted some plants in here that never took off. They were supposed to come echinacea, and they were supposed to bloom, and they never grew. That's a shame. And then these little plants here, the deer and the rabbit have enjoyed. That was very kind of me to feed them, but that's not what I want to grow in my yard. So some of these bushes will have to be rethought. Over there's some bushes that didn't survive so well in the dry, so I have to find a more native type look for it. They've not been very happy. This area I planted some beauty berries, and they didn't survive out here very well either, but I'll show you in the back where I planted some and they did. Instead, I found some native plants that will die out in the winter, but they are hosts to different caterpillars and butterflies. And then this is a volunteer wort that came up, W-O-R-T plant. It came up out there, but it was blooming so beautifully. I thought, well, that's a native, obviously, and it's not a weed. And so I replanted it here. It seems to be doing okay. But I just love these pink Muhly grasses. They're really beautiful. Over here are the hydrangeas. I probably planted them too close because eventually they will get good size. The gentleman that came out to help me find native plants said I should have planted a different variety that are native, the oak leaf hydrangea that have called ruby slipper. And so I think I am going to put some of those in the back. But here is the magnolia tree. And this has surprised me. It's bloomed all throughout the summer. It wasn't just one time in the spring. And then these seed pods came out with these bright red seeds. Let me flash up a picture and show you. I did not realize that magnolias had these red seeds. And then of course I planted a bunch of azaleas back in here, and they've been blooming off and on during the summer and or the spring and late summer, early fall here, and they've been very nice. I need to deadhead them. Some of them aren't looking quite as good as others. Back there, I don't know if it got too wet in some of the rainstorms or if it's too dry, but it's just hard to tell. The weather has been weird this year here in South Carolina. And because everything's new, it just takes a while for them to establish. So this hydrangea clearly is doing good. And that one over there is, you know, they just grow at different rates where they seem to establish themselves. We've had a lot of wind, and so here's pieces of pine tree all over. We had Hurricane Milton's effects in South Carolina with some high wind. Nothing significant, thankfully. Back here in my backyard was already very natural scape there, because this area here is the sort of swamp drainage that goes out to the end of the neighborhood to a pond. But here is this beautyberry. They struggled to take on here, but the berries are amazing, and they have been on this bush for 2 months. Just this incredible, and they're just 2 months. But I thought they would be great bird food. We have our screen porch over here, and sitting out here seeing the birds was one of the things I wanted to do. We've taken the cushions in from our furniture, but you can see these camellias are gonna be bursting with blooms here. Wanted that right off of our porch. So I created this flower bed area. I'm gonna take this part of the lawn out and put in more curated plants. This is where I'm gonna put in some of the ruby slipper hydrangeas. If you go and look up ruby slippers, they're amazing on how they show color throughout the year. Back here, I just put a few plants in here, but it already was this kind of a natural design, which is what I love. I like this. I know a lot of people don't, but I do. All right, let me give you a view from the house out to the street coming back from this way and show you how the plants have just taken up and developed and filled in. It's just gorgeous to me. I love this. I have people walk by and stop and look at it. Sometimes I think they are like, what did he do? And others tell me how much they love my yard. And I like the compliments, of course. Who doesn't, right? But it has been interesting. I've had a few people tell me they knew I wasn't from the South. Somebody said, you did this because you're from California, huh? And I got to thinking, what? What does that have to do with being California? And then I realized a lot of us in California, because of drought, we don't have lawns. And so, but I don't think most people do natural looks like this. But yeah, I just felt like I wanted my lawn gone. It was hard to mow around, and it's hot, and I just love the natural environment, and so this is what I have created in my yard. And a year later, I'm happy with it. There's some things, like I said already, that I want to change. Take out some of the less native plants and put in a few more, but it's been wonderful. Before we leave, just want to offer you one little bonus clip of what our yard looks like in intense rain. We get that occasionally. All right, well, thank you for watching. I'm so glad that you were here and you're checking out the status of my yard. I know it's random. Some guy in a suburb of South Carolina is showing you his yard. But you know, if you've been watching our channel, you know who I am. And and I'm sure you like the updates. So thank you for watching. Hey, be good to others. Bye-bye.